Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Jan Pomorski, and I'm the Secretary General of the Guild of European Research Intensive Universities. And I'm delighted to moderate the session on the future of Europe's universities. In Europe, we can take real pride in the strength of our universities. You only need to look at how they've supported society in the current COVID pandemic through their science, their innovation, their policy advice, and of course, the engagement of their students. Without universities, we cannot address our societal challenges adequately. Digitalization, climate change, public health, to name but three. All these require interdisciplinary approaches, which universities, with their subject breadth and their capacity for frontier research, are particularly well placed to address. So society needs universities more than ever. But right now, universities are also facing a perfect storm of challenges. Academic freedom, the right to ask questions and identify problems, even if they defy government opinion, is essential to a good university, and it is essential for world-leading teaching and research. But academic freedom is under attack within and beyond the EU. Across Europe, funding per student has at best been stable, and in many parts, it has even declined over recent years. But the financial demands on universities have risen. We need to build and maintain, for instance, more complex research infrastructures. Financial demands on library budgets and data management are rising. And it will be clear to anybody going into this academic year that digitalization in education requires significantly more resource in time and money, not less. Through the European Union, Europe's universities are characterized by strong and unique collaborations in research, education, and innovation. But we also know that there's still a long way to go in bridging the research and innovation divide in Europe, and that also affects universities. And finally, the dramatic digitalization of our universities in response to the COVID pandemic has upended our ways of doing things. We have a unique opportunity to learn from these changes, but also to reaffirm what we have done well and what we need to maintain from the pre-COVID era. So this is a perfect moment to discuss the future of our universities in Europe, as the EU prepares to relaunch the European Research Area and the European Education Area. Do European university alliances point us to the future of more collaborative and stronger universities? And if so, what does that future look like in concrete terms? How can universities engage more with society while maintaining their academic freedom and the integrity of their scientific methods? How can we respond better to our big societal challenges with our strengths, which include our capacity for frontier research across all subject domains? And above all, what do we want our universities to look like in 10 years' time? I'm delighted to discuss these questions with our distinguished panel, but I would also encourage you to participate in the discussion by using Slido at the bottom of your screen or the chat box on the side, and we will integrate these questions and comments throughout this session. The two core missions of universities are research and education. These are also the foundation, of course, of their capacity for innovation and public engagement. So I can think of no better people to give an opening statement than Jean-Éric Paquet, Director General of the Directorate of Research and Innovation, and Themis Christophidou, Director General of the Directorate for Education, Youth, Sport and Culture, both of the European Commission. Jean-Éric, the floor is yours.
Jan, good morning. Good morning, dear panel members. I'm delighted to welcome you here on stage at the Research and Innovation Days and welcome all of you virtually. And I'm delighted to do this with Themis, indeed, my partner in the knowledge crime, if you want, education and research together under the portfolio of Maria Gabriel. Jan, thanks a lot for your opening and let me echo some of your considerations. The future of universities in Europe, or European universities, maybe the future of Europe with universities, is indeed a key aspect of the work happening under the European Research Area. And universities are, of course, very central, probably the central actor of Europe's excellence in science, and increasingly also a major actor in Europe's developing innovation capacity. And I'm seeing the work done by universities as absolutely key for Europe's research policy to develop. So I'm delighted that we are working very closely together with several university associations, Michael, with yours, of course, as well, and others, and that you are helping us develop Horizon Europe, which we do during these Research and Innovation Days, that you will help us develop the European Research Area policy, connected to, of course, the work on education, and that you are indeed these key actors implementing at national, local, regional, and European Union level the best science and great innovation for our citizens. We will want to work on an agenda with universities. I think you need to feed it. You are feeding that agenda. It will be visible in the policy papers coming in the next few days. This transformation agenda, I think, is key. It's about how you deliver research, how you cooperate between yourselves on delivering research, how you are making open science every day a reality. And I must say universities are really at the forefront of open science together with the European Commission. And then how you indeed will nurture your capacity to do that research and innovation with your researchers, and the career of researchers, which we discussed yesterday evening at the Research and Innovation Days, is of course a particularly central component of that transformation agenda. So the interaction and the dialogue must be, I think, very intense, and I hope that the panel this morning will indeed help us to move it forward and continue to connect it very closely with the other, or probably for me, the key mission which you have, which is education. And universities from that point of view are also for me the interlocutor which will help Temis and myself and our teams to really operationally, visibly, purposefully connect research and education. So thank you already for all of that, and we will be delighted to continue working all together on that agenda. Oh, and I need to add before Temis takes the floor that ambassadors are discussing Horizon Europe this morning, and I will now have to join them to help make the right choices on Horizon Europe. So I apologize, I will not follow the panel, but I will be briefed on the outcome.
Thank you. Temis.
Thank you, Jairik. Thank you, Jan. Good morning. Good morning, Sylvie, Michael. We've come a long way these last 2 years on European universities, and yet it's only the beginning of this very promising journey. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a great pleasure to be here and to be welcoming this panel with Jairik. The timing for this debate could not be more appropriate. What we want is to hear from you about institutional transformation and how you see the future of universities in Europe. The truth is that the past year has been already a year of true transformation. To one extent, because we pursued this transformation together. And to another extent, because of an unforeseen challenge, COVID-19. Together, we started our journey to create the European universities in 2018. We now have over 280 higher education institutions participating in 41 alliances selected under Erasmus+ and also supported by Horizon 2020. These are the test beds for the universities of the future and can inspire deeper cooperation and transformation across Europe. They are also one of the flagships of the communication on achieving a European education area. And I'm happy that Jairik joined me in reflecting their key role in the European Research Area communication too. When COVID struck, we asked European universities whether being part of an alliance has been helpful in addressing the difficulties of the crisis. 60% said yes. But more importantly, 96% answered that they would have been better prepared if the European university had already been fully operational. That's impressive. And it's no coincidence. No one can go it alone when facing challenges of this magnitude. The pandemic has shifted the ground upon which we walk. It accelerated the need for digital transformation in institutions across Europe as programs moved online. We have come to see in practice that cooperation across borders, disciplines, and cultures is the way to recover from the crisis, building resilience and addressing the twin digital and green transitions. From our discussions when coining the definition of these universities, it came out that we expect them to be true agents in the development for their cities and their communities. Dear colleagues, teaching should inspire learning. Learning to inspire creativity and innovation. And this innovation is to help improve the lives of Europeans for this one and the next generations. Global health, climate change, adapting to the digital needs of today, and addressing inequalities, very importantly, are some of our common challenges. European universities offer not just one way of giving back, but many. And they do so in an inclusive way, involving higher education institutions from all types and parts of Europe, who can then inspire the broader community. This is an important change, a change that has already started. You have started it. My job, together with Jean-Éric, is to help accelerate this change. We want to be, together, the wind in your sails, to create the space for collaboration within the European education area and research area, supported, of course, by the right investment. On the 30th of September, we foresee the announcement of 2 communications on these 2 areas. Higher education institutions are at the heart of both. We consider the strengthening of the European education area essential to prevent the health crisis from becoming a structural barrier to learning and skills development. We also consider it as a fuel that will ignite our work with the higher education and research communities, as well as with the member states, to co-create an ambitious agenda for higher education transformation. I stop here to leave time for the floor in the debate, and I'm looking forward to hearing your thoughts. Thank you.
Thank you, Temis. And thank you, Jean-Éric, very much for your introductory thoughts. Let me move straight on to the wider panel and begin with Michael Murphy. Michael, as president of the European University Association that represents over 800 universities across Europe, you have a fantastic bird's eye view over the sector. And can I just invite you maybe for some reflections on what you think universities should look like in 10 years' time?
Thanks, Jan. Like you, I think the starting point should be to reflect on the existing strengths of Europe's universities, diversity and cooperation, of course, being at the very core. And we're not trying to catch up with other world regions, because we don't march to the drum of rankings, which measure just subsets of what we do. So we have great strengths, but we must develop them in the coming 10 years in a European way. And in that, I mean, promoting inclusiveness, accessibility, regional dispersion of excellence, a holistic integration of our mission, which Jan-Erik and Themis have also signaled. Our missions must cooperate and not compete. This is very different from the model elsewhere in other parts of the world, where you tend to have spatial concentration of elitism, and we believe that this now contributes to the inequalities that are driving dysfunction in those regions. Europe will be different. Diversity, cooperation, solidarity, excellence, but not elitism, autonomy and freedom, accountability. But we will evolve dramatically, I expect, in the 10 years. And our vision at EUA is that Europe will have universities without walls, which means institutions that are open as communities of discovery and learning, open to all age groups, co-learning with all societal sectors, public and private, flexible, individualized learning paths, and of course, collaboration across the continent to give us the virtual learning and discovery spaces that are of sufficient scale. Grounded, of course, in 2030 in our core values, the same: freedom, critical, evidence-based discussion, challenging and expanding our view of the world. The Commission and the Member States and the universities will have to co-create this vision, as we are actually doing, but ensure that it is holistic and integrates the evolution or transformation, if you will, of all of our missions: research, teaching, and societal service. The Commission and the Member States will have to provide us with some open-ended, flexible support to attain this vision by investing, helping deliver infrastructure, removing legal barriers, and actively promoting cooperation and sharing between our institutions and encouraging stakeholders to do likewise. So, deliberately repeating a key point: the European way, which is diversity of profiles and missions, spatial distribution of excellence, but tightly networked to give us the globally competitive critical mass and scale. That's my opening view of this, Jan, much aligned with the other speakers.
Thank you very much, Michael. Thank you for this rich introductory comment. As Sylvie, if I can maybe turn to you, Sylvie Retailleau, as president of Paris-Saclay. You are president of a modern university that has just undergone significant transformation. So when you reflect on your own institutional transformation process, what do you think universities should look like in 10 years' time? What will Paris-Saclay look like in 10 years' time?
Yes, hello everybody, and I'm very first deeply honored to participate in this round table. So as you may know, exactly Paris-Saclay University is an example of this deep transformation that universities are undergoing as strong players on the social and economic stage. So universities are at the crossroad of research, education, innovation, and the development of society. So as such, it is up to us to offer students innovative curricula, and that are both deeply connected to the constantly changing world of work, and that take into account critical issues as sustainable development and global health, for example. So, and as we face new challenges, our role within both the European education area and also European research area is crucial. So University Paris-Saclay is a comprehensive university that offers students cross-cutting programs, which are deeply intertwined with research and innovation. Is a characteristic of all the university. So we represent 13% of French research, and our students and researchers have access to large-scale facilities and R&D centers of major international groups who have chosen our campus to set up shop. So an illustration of this tie between research and education and innovation in our institute, in our university, is dedicated to climate change and land the management system, an institute, Convergent Institute, with given rise to several research, academic, and also industrial partnerships. So more widely, the leading university today rely more than ever on cooperation at the European level to face new challenges. So our connected university have the responsibility to become major players in the reinforcement of European citizenship and European values, and it is very important for us. At the same time, they have a key role to play in strengthening Europe's sovereignty in major areas such as health, economy, technology, energy, transport, and more. So a year ago, University Paris-Saclay created with 4 other European universities the Uglow Alliance for Global Health. And through this alliance, we have 4 partners for Ludwig Maximilian University in Munich, Porto University, Lund University, and Szeged University. And we can offer together answers to a great range of challenges in a variety of cross-cutting fields, all linked to global health. So I would like to take this opportunity to thank the European Commission for its recent support to Uglow, but to a lot of research projects with H2020 projects. So all these projects aims at reinforcing and improving cooperation among European partners, as well as with the players of innovation, so that they may all benefit from European supports. So it's very important for us. And to finish by saying that also University Paris-Saclay is new, very young university, even if it's built on the strengths of long-standing players, both on the academic, research, and innovating stages. So we continue the construction of Europe plays a key role in all our endeavor. We must pursue this objective at all costs, drawing from each other's strengths in order to adjust to change as one. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Sylvie. And I would like to now hand the word to Peter Geisler. Peter, you have the perspective not just of the German Federal Ministry of Science Education, but Germany, of course, also currently holds the presidency. Michael has emphasized in his introductory comments the need to return the diversity of the European landscape. But and also he noted that they will be more open. Can you see further ways in which universities will transform over the next 10 years?
Thank you very much. Yes, I think Michael is right there. Universities, in my view, will be more universal in 10 years' time. More people will study or work at universities. They will have more different backgrounds. The learning content will no longer be produced and used at the same university. That's a very new development. Studying in Kiel, for example, means using learning content from Cambridge, Rome, Munich, and Stanford, and meeting students from all over Europe, of course, but also from, for example, China, Syria, Australia, Egypt. In my view, this is a very good development. At the same time, universities will be more local because students work in projects to improve the local environmental policy, to solve housing problems, or to do research on air pollution in the region. Graduates will found startups or work in local companies as social contact is important for people, in particular for young people. We will see physical presence and exchange, even though much learning material will be online. Research and teaching will be more interdisciplinary because with better recognition and more offers to use any learning content, students get used to think out of the box very early. That then inspires the whole university. To make that true, we need to discuss about different models and find a way of exchanging digital learning content that is widely accepted and quality assured. Either we have to pay for all digital contents and we have a market, or learning content is freely and openly published like research results, or both models will coexist, probably for a while, or someone finds a new model. I think to find the right ways will need longer than 2030, but of course, until then we will know much more. And Europe. We in Europe are becoming more attractive to students all over the world because compared to other regions, we are more democratic, we are open, peaceful, wealthy, and safe, and we safeguard academic freedom. However, some of the most important technological developments are driven by companies in the United States, China, and other countries. To keep our advantages and speed up innovation and digitalization are the big challenges for Europe. By the way, also and particularly for universities and even their proper administration. In a nutshell, universities will be more universal and Europe has a chance to play an important role. We must use this opportunity and take the chance. Thank you.
Thank you, Peter. We the questions are coming in, and that's terrific. Questions include, for instance, how we can bring in some of the non-university organizations more into universities, for instance, European universities. There are also questions about whether maybe we are focusing too much on innovation in universities and not enough on research. And also, there's a question about how, for instance, we what European universities will look like in 10 years' time. And I will ask the panel to kind of reflect on these and other questions maybe towards the end. First, we have some further contributions through some video statements that we'd like to show you now.
My name is Marijke van der Wende, Professor of Higher Education at Utrecht University. About the future of universities and how they should look like. Well, I think strong, open and diverse, not all the same. A world-class system is a diversified system. So the key transformations needed, I think, really are opening up and networking. To build stronger institutions, we need more effective collaboration across sectors and borders. Because let's face the facts, Europe may have a third of the world's top 100 universities, but the best ranked are outside the EU, in the UK and Switzerland. But we don't want to create European champions at the expense of the strength of the system as a whole. So therefore we want to build effective knowledge ecosystems. We want to avoid brain drain and work in line with the green and digital transformations. So we need to rethink physical mobility and strengthen online collaboration. So the EU needs to gear the multi-annual budget and the recovery funds more towards research and education and innovation, roll out high-speed digital networks across the whole territory, and use its full set of legal instruments for shared governance of knowledge ecosystems. And, indeed, to safeguard the rights and values as laid down in the treaty, in particular the protection of free movement and academic freedom. Thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Jakub Grodecki. I'm a member of the Executive Committee of European Students' Union. Through our members, we represent nearly 20 million students from 40 countries. We strongly hope that the future of universities is bright, and those will still hold a crucial role in strengthening the democratic, developed and inclusive society. Higher education institutions should focus more on the holistic approach of the students' development. We believe that the key to achieving this is providing future students inclusive and quality access to education, putting more emphasis on the learning and teaching process, along with the use of advanced technology. The policymakers should see that there is no limitation when it comes to boosting the investments into education, science and research. To achieve that, more and more ambitious goals should be set to make education more accessible, improving its quality, and make it more oriented at the needs of the society.
Good morning. My name is Daniela Trani and I am the director of the Young Universities for the Future of Europe Alliance, UFE. Building the universities of the future, we believe in UFE, is dependent not only on universities, but it's a transformation that involves the entire education, research and innovation ecosystem. It actually touches upon the way we build more cohesive, sustainable and just societies. This is why our European Universities Initiative rests on the cooperation between researchers, students, businesses, local governments and citizens' organizations. Together with our 10 partner universities and 4 non-academic partner organizations, we aim at building a European universities where students will benefit from seamless mobility across Europe, physically and virtually.
Sylvie, maybe if I can turn to you first. Daniela spoke about the opportunities presented by European University Alliances, and she emphasized their position in a wider ecosystem. Can we maybe bring in one of the comments in the chat box around how we integrate non-university partners That could be non-university research organizations. Others have asked about industrial partners. How do we best make that work within the context of European universities?
So first, I would like to say that I fully agree with the colleagues and the recorded in the video, and it's exactly what we want to do in University Paris-Saclay and with the Alliance and Europe. And I think will contribute in the long run to build a new generation ready to not only face the new job market, challenge innovation, but they will as well carry the values of Europe, including ethic, interculturality in particular, and the value between all. So in addition, they will evolve and make the world more sustainable. And I join very all the presentation just before. Modern universities, students, but also for researchers and all the staff of the university. And so will reinforce and improve cooperation among Europe, as well as with the players of innovation, and make. Thank you.
Okay, so I'm afraid the sound is cracking a bit, but one thing I do take from Sylvie's comments is that, of course, industrial collaborations are important in wider ecosystem, but I thought it was important that Sylvie also spoke about ethics and values in terms of what it is that we do, and that should ground us and should be the foundation of what we do. And maybe, Michael, can I pick up on Marijke's points that we saw earlier about creating champions? You also made this a really cornerstone of your comments, making champions, but not at the expense of leaving parts of Europe behind. But how exactly do we do this? Because ultimately there are resource questions. There is, universities do compete for funding. How does it work when we are in a globally competitive environment?
Yes, Ian, it's a complex question, but and there's a menu of answers, and I think all elements are necessary and none are optional. We're talking about having talent distributed across Europe, and talent is attracted by certain conditions. Open liberal democracy is critical. Talent flees illiberalism. The framework must include sufficient critical mass of excellence in universities in all parts of the continent, and that requires universities to strategize such that each can exhibit at least one of sufficient scale, one discipline of sufficient scale to be attractive to international talent. Employment conditions must be right, the career options must be visible, there must be open and transparent progression. Thirdly, you need infrastructure of sufficient quality to attract. And in all regions of Europe that need help, I think the European structural funds should be leveraging national funding to ensure there is infrastructure that attracts. If governments don't, I think they lose the moral argument for solidarity. Language barriers need to be dealt with, and frankly, English must be the second language across Europe. Talent needs to be able to communicate locally. Fast broadband digital infrastructure investment, fundamental to creating our virtual labs. And my last point is that governance and leadership need to be appropriate. So the vision for 2030 must include new supra-institutional, supranational governance to permit cooperation and virtual labs. And in leadership, above all, needs to be fit for purpose. We must appoint professors and rectors who have international experience in their curriculum vitae. And I would lastly say that we would benefit very much from a European program annually, like the Harvard program for new university presidents, an immersion program to bring all new university leaders up to speed on European policies, European opportunities, and to create for them, a pan-European network. It's a menu and none of the elements are optional, but it must happen, and I believe it can happen.
Thank you. Peter, can I turn to you? You already mentioned the importance of academic freedom, and I think you and other speakers have really picked up on Jakob's point about the importance of universities as the cornerstone of a democratic society. Can I maybe then ask you about what do you think the member states' commitment is towards removing some of the barriers to cooperation and collaboration in higher education? And this is of course coming up repeatedly in the context of European universities, but it's a much wider issue beyond that.
Yes, thank you. Perhaps let me repeat, because it is really important. Without academic freedom, universities cannot be excellent and they cannot prepare students for their future. In Germany, it is also guaranteed by our fundamental law, but it is not only a right of individuals, it is also a fundamental precondition for new ideas, for their understanding of science and for development of societies. You can stop people from finding the truth, of course, but you cannot stop facts from being facts. If you want to react on reality, it is helpful to let people discover and publish it. All governments that suppress academic freedom will pay a high price, and their countries will fall back in their development. Europe needs academic freedom because, on the one hand, it is a fundamental right, and because it is needed for our wealth and progress. And I think with the European university networks, we have a chance to show that this works. And of course, all the European universities have to respect these rights and be a good example for it. And you're right. This is not the only precondition. We have lots of problems. We have lots of framework conditions that are not ideal for cooperation in Europe. And that is one of the ideas, that we really have these European networks and detect the problems. And if they detect the problems, we can solve them. And of course, then we solve them for all universities and not only the ones that are in the European university networks. I think this is a very important function of this program, to really find out what is difficult for universities if they want to cooperate and if they want to build up the new kind of university we are all longing for. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Peter. So Temis, maybe if I can turn to you now, and I'm going to ask you almost to do this as a closing statement, but there have been, from your side, but there have been a lot of comments, and feel free to wish to contribute or to respond to any of those. But a large number of questions from the viewers have really been about the European Universities Initiative in terms of what you think it will look like in the future. How open can we make it to different kinds of partners, industry, but also non-university research organizations? Can you maybe expand a little bit on those points?
Yes, thank you, Jan. As I said in the beginning, and Jean-Eric also, we are here to hear from you, to listen to your thoughts and your concerns. So I first want to say that I take note and take with me some messages from you today. I think it was very important to hear that you attach a lot of importance to solidarity, to excellence without elitism, to diversity, to inclusiveness. Spatial distribution, I like that. The issue of governance and of leadership. Of course, sustainability. Then I also take good note, and I loved it, about EU citizenship and European values. It's very important, about European sovereignty. Peter said the universities will be more universal and more local at the same time. I think there's a lot of truth in that. And a great line, Michael, on the talent flees illiberalism. I hope you can let me use that from time to time. Now, what am I trying to drive at? This is a process that is co-created, co-designed with you all. So, Jan, I think you were one of the first networks which I met in 2018, together with Michael's, with the European Students' Union, the Students' Networks, a lot of other networks. And we started a long discussion about how the European universities alliances should look like. Should they be for the usual suspects? Should they be more inclusive, geographical balance? I think you all remember we had long discussions on this. We've come quite a long way. Now, the first round, the 17 first alliances actually started just a year ago. So and the second round was announced only in July, so they're starting now. So we need to give time to these alliances, to this pilot phase, to develop, to evolve, to learn together, to find out together what works, what doesn't work. Usually what doesn't work is a more useful lesson, and we're doing this together. We're open to all sorts of shapes, forms, and colors, because we want this to be a genuine pilot and to show us the way for the next phase. So I'm here not to exclude anybody in any type of format. We are open to discussing. We've done, I think, 17 public consultations in the last couple of years on the European education area at large, and the European universities more specifically. And we will continue. We'll be doing some in the coming months, because this is a collaborative project, and it can only be done together. And it needs to serve the needs of you academics, of you students, of you staff, of course, of the industry, of local authorities also, because it needs to serve above all the citizens. So the shape is something that will be formed as we go along. We didn't come with preconceived ideas, and we don't share the idea that Brussels knows best. So we're doing this together. We're learning from you, and the closer the cooperation is, the more suitable the results will be, and the more fit for Europe of 2030 and for the world of 2030. So it's.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So thanks. That's a fantastic opening, sort of closing comment from you. Can I just ask each member of the panel with a 30-second closing statement, because we have to finish on time at 10 in 3 minutes. So can I start, Peter, with you? Some final comments, some final reflection. Awesome.
Thank you. Yes, I have heard many interesting and good things today. I think it was a very good session in that way. And the European University Network leaves open many possibilities. We should use them and really let the universities invent themselves and help them by doing that. And of course, learn from these experiments. In a way, it's a field of testing of new developments. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you. Sylvie? Sylvie is, yeah.
So maybe I want to share the notion of collaborative project, and for the it's you on no. The vision the necessary.
I don't think the sound. I think so, Michael. I think if I can ask you, sorry, we can't hear Sylvie.
Okay. A quick comment. I think we must be careful with our narrative. Europe needs to be strong, not to be competitive, but to be able to contribute to the very greatest extent possible to solving global challenges. We welcome the improvement in Asian university performance, because Asia and Europe and all other parts must collaborate in facing what are global challenges that respect no borders. We are all in this together, and Europe must be as strong a contributor as possible.
Thank you very much. Thank you to all the panel. I want to just close with echoing Jean-Éric's opening comments, which is that this is really on the start of the discussion as part of the European research area and the European education area. So once we have those communications, I would encourage us all to really participate and engage and make this a reality, because it can only become a reality if we all make it happen in the university sector, grounded on our ethics and on our values. Thank you very much, and thank you to all the participants. Thank you.